All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Morning Coffee Review. Today is April 16th, and we are excited to talk about a whole bunch of different things today. We're going to be all over the place as per normal, but we've got some exciting things to talk about. We've got some exciting things to share. We're going to get into a couple different pieces of software today and talk about a touchy subject. So before we get into that, how's it going today, Michael?
Going good. I'm excited to dive deep into our topic today. Is a well-picked one by you, so getting more deeper into what Review offers, and then also some of the new hot tip items of what's been released. We can talk about those as well. We know we talked about something that has been released yet, but Bluebeam released it, I guess you could say,
Mm-hmm.
right, in terms of the sessions within Bluebeam Cloud. So I'm excited to
Yeah.
dive deep into it and get going.
Yeah, I haven't played with the cloud stuff yet, but I did update Review. So I'm opening that up right now. Once that's launched, I'll share my screen.
And
Um,
I would show the new stuff, but I
didn't
don't
update
don't update. Yeah.
because it's been like 3 years, right?
I'm still, yeah, that last version I still have it and I just hit deny.
All right. I'm just opening up a data set just so everything's populated. But I did update Review. So last week, I think last Wednesday, there was a new release, which is 21.1. So usually with a .1, .2 update, there's going to be some new features. A .0, another decimal point is usually just a hot fix type of thing. But in this update, there are a couple things that are actually really cool. Now, if I go here to learn what's new, it'll pop up and tell you what those new notes are. And that auto align, so your AI function for overlay pages is now out, which supposedly saves you 80% of your time, which is worth about 3 seconds. Preference search, this is the one I'm going to show off because it's awesome. And then there's a new banner function, right? Also, there's been some fixes and things like that. So it's worth the update. So far, so good. Running
So
pretty
did
stable.
they only okay, so they didn't release the update for, oh, that's Review. Let's go.
Yeah,
I'll
you got to
go
go
and
to
do
cloud.
cloud
So
updates.
there's a new
Oh, did you
vector
already do
pen.
it? Okay.
Yeah. So in the iOS version 1.12, I didn't think I updated this one. So this was the second. There is a new vector pen, which looks pretty cool. I watched a video that Bluebeam put out on LinkedIn about it. It's getting smarter. So that's what we're checking out as well. I
Select
don't
markup
think it did the other
groups
thing. Yeah.
to view details and engage in comments. You were able to do that before, so I'm wondering if it did, because when you used to select a group in cloud, it would show you all of the pieces in a group. So like your tool sets, right?
Hmm.
I'm wondering if this removed that feature because that was annoying. Because you would see, like, if it was a tool set that you created, you would see all the subgrouped data for those in cloud. So I'm wondering if this changed that subgroup data to now just being the single tool set. So we'll see.
Yeah, that's something to test if we'll get around to it today or so. We'll see.
But they didn't release the other AI feature, which was
Mm-mm.
supposed to be for auto naming your sheets in
In
cloud.
cloud,
Because
right?
yeah, currently right now it only does it by page labels, which is annoying.
Yep. So here's the new thing that I think is pretty cool. When you're in preferences, you've seen us fumble through this thing. Like, where's that at again? Where was it here? Was it there? There's all these tabs and things. Now you can just search. So if I want to go find 3D stuff, oh, boom, show that. Like I can go find snap. Oh, it's right there.
When did
So
that
cool
happen?
little. This is in the update.
Mm.
So this is pretty handy because it's going to give me control of my snaps and everything else. Makes it a little faster. I know some of you are ninjas and know exactly where to go every time. But I just, the search is going to save me some time for sure.
Yeah, because we always go in there.
Um,
I'm like, where's that thing again?
yeah. And then also the other new feature is here under compare and overlay. You have to have two different layers or projects, you know? So this is also the new feature, this banner that's going to guide you through different workflows. So if I go find another file, I know I'm not going to have anything good. I'm just going to pick something random. obviously they don't align, but now there's an auto align function. So this is going to use AI to match your title blocks, and it's supposed to save you clicks so you don't have to do the manual alignment anymore.
So is it only matching the title blocks?
It's supposed to be matching a whole bunch of different geometry. I don't think I have some good files to test this with. I was gonna make them ahead of today, but didn't get around to it.
Yeah, I'll create a video on that for everyone because I'm really wondering I wonder how it's going to work with like different viewports being placed into there, and then if those are like top and bottom, because from being in industry, right, things move and rotate in different areas. Like, well, how's it going to interact with that? It would be my concern, but we'll go through and see, I guess.
Yeah,
If
it's supposed
anyone
to
has
fix with
used
different
it.
scales and rotations too. So we'll see what happens. But there you go. Hiding in plain sight.
If you click it, what does it do? Does it give you a preview?
Unable to align these input pages because I gave it, yeah, it's giving you a live preview all the time. Right? But since these are not the same files, obviously it's not going to work very well.
Anyone having a glitch with custom captions, with it showing up as caption in the tools chest in markups list, not actually saying what you want it to say.
I won't. Okay. Like I said, we're going to bounce around a lot today. Maybe that's where I go test this, because we had that issue before when I was trying to do the custom labels. The caption wasn't working. When I did this in pink, yeah, it's still not working. So it's supposed to give me a drop down of what's available to me, right? Because I use one of these. So if I wanted author, now my markup will have that in there as long as it matches case sensitive my title in my markups list. Even if it's a custom column, it should work, right? And this is where mine still has that bug. Maybe there's a setting somewhere, but normally if you do that double caret, I think that's what that's called, it should give you a drop down of all your available options. So that's a little trickier. So still not working in 21.1, but anyway.
Yeah. It's yours is a different issue, Doug, but I'm wondering why yours isn't picking up the information.
Turn on my label column. Page label. Label. Okay. So label is author, because that's what I put there. Right. So you said label. Oh, because then it's going to label. Getting like a circular reference type of thing, right?
Yeah, he's saying yours is doing the same thing, which the label down there isn't showing the label true to what your author,
right.
when you had author, it was saying the caret author, not saying Jason in label.
I think it's just a circular reference, right? Because it's looking for, I don't. Okay, you reported it. Good.
Well, I guess the question is it supposed to? Is the label supposed to have that data? Like, has it in the past? When you used it, was Jason supposed to be in there? Yeah, Doug says yeah. Or is it just supposed to be like a PDF visual?
Oh, but date should work, right? Because that's spelled correctly. Same case. So maybe there are some things to be worked out there.
Yeah, it's a bug.
Does comments work? Weird. That's really weird.
Yeah, and I can't test it because I still haven't updated to that version.
Yeah. So that one works. So maybe it doesn't work on all the columns. Obviously,
Scroll
it's meant
over. What does
for
your label say?
length measurement.
No, the
Oh,
label. Nope, still subject.
oh,
Yeah.
yeah. All right. So back on track. I'm gonna delete that guy. I said today is going to be a touchy subject, and it is. So there's a reason for it, right? So our topic today is review is not CAD, but we can fake it. Now, for those drafters among us and old me, um, review is not CAD, right? But I'm taking more and more calls and hearing from more and more customers who are doing more with review than you probably should. And sometimes that's okay. So we are going to fake some stuff today.
Are you
We're going to bring
changing
in,
your tune?
no, I'm not. Made me laugh there. Not changing my tune. What we're about to show you is still a PDF, right? We're not opening up DWG files. We're not working on CAD files in review. We're not doing any of that. The reason this has come up is that software is expensive, right? And folks are like, well, why do I want to spend $2,000 on AutoCAD when I can just get done with a $400 review? Okay, I see the point.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to walk through some of those things.
Very
This is
valid.
a money saving thing. This is not smart to do in any way, shape, or form, but we're going to do it anyway because I see the value in it, but I don't encourage or condone this behavior. Right. So we're going to get in and we're going to start faking CAD with review. Now, this means a couple different things. Can I draw lines and symbols? Yeah, of course. We've done that before. But can I draw a center line or a grid line? Kind of, right? There. Oh, that's weird. Um, I'm struggling with my team's operations up at the top of my menu bar, so I can't get to what I want to get to right now.
Yeah, I see you passing it every 5 seconds.
Yeah, it's kind of annoying. Sorry, guys. Um, so if I'm drawing a line, for example, and I want to have that center line, I do have options here inside of review for different things. I don't have a center line, right? So if I wanted to make this line, I got that -5. That's close. That's not the right spacing, right? I would have to mess around with it to get it close. And plus, it's not named the proper thing. Me being a civil guy, that is a center line, not a -5, right? So how do I make this line type? Well, there's things that we can do. You've seen us do this before. I'm not going to go super in depth with this, but I'm going to add a new line style set, right? And from here, I can add a new line type, and we're going to call this center line. And I'm going to go here, and now I can actually create that line. So we have our different components here, where I have my dash here, and I can have spaces. I can put a space in there. I can have a dash in there, and then I can have a longer line. And then I can move these up and down accordingly to get what I want. And I can make that dash longer, shorter, accordingly, right? We can mess with things. Now, we've done this with adding labels and text. We're not going to go super in depth at because the goal of this is to fake CAD. And what's the best way to fake CAD is to actually bring in CAD stuff.
Mm.
So what do I mean by that? There's a neat little trick here. What I can do with line style sets, and we're going to do hatch patterns as well. What I can do with this is actually bring in the AutoCAD line work. So I'm going to switch over here to AutoCAD 2025 and show you what I mean, right? So by default, when you open up AutoCAD, actually, I'll open up a brand new drawing so you won't see all the work I've already done. If I draw a line, I have a number of line types available to me already, right? But I don't have a ton. So in AutoCAD, if I type line type, screen, by default, there's a lot more comes with AutoCAD. So I'm going to go to load. And what's handy about this, you can see all the different line types that are in this acad.lin file. Now, your company probably has customized ones, but there's that center line that I'm after. Right? So I can load these files here in AutoCAD and have them available to me. Or if I cheat and I go up here to file, again, wrong screen, it's going to tell me where that file lives. acad.lin. Every version of AutoCAD or Civil 3D or whatever you have has this file. So it's buried users, app data, roaming, blah, blah, blah. But this is going to tell you where to find that file. Now, for making life easy, I copied this file to my desktop. In that same file, or that same file location, there's also an acad.pat file, which is the hatch patterns, right? So what we're going to do, instead of me trying to make that center line in Revu, I'm just going to bring in the AutoCAD center line. I'm going to bring in all of these, right? Because I copied that file. So now I'm going to go back to Revu, and I'm going to go to import, and it's going to ask me, oh, this isn't what I want. Did I go down the wrong path today? I think I did.
I think it's the coffee.
It is the coffee.
It's because you already started it.
Because I already started. Am I losing my mind? I could be losing my mind. It's a good day for it. Right? So if I drive me nuts. Right? If I go back to manage here, I should be able to import that LIN file. Used to be able to.
It's right? You have to go into the styles because you're creating the set right now. So create a set, add.
Didn't I just create that MCR? Or did I hit cancel out of that?
You hit cancel, yeah. And then add.
You're right, that coffee is strong. Where's the import though?
No, it should have been there. Okay, hold on. Let me open mine up.
Am I losing my mind, guys?
No, I don't think so.
I swear there used to be a
1 second.
Import. We'll do it live.
Yeah, let me go through and draw one real quick.
Where was it? In my head, that's where it was. I see you typing, Doug. We've done this before. And it's not there anymore.
I did it for mine because you were able to import. It's only saying Bluebeam line set style.
Didn't once upon a time it worked with LIN files? I swear.
I use the whatever the line style is from.
All right. Okay. We'll pivot. The import button is only for the BLX file.
Yeah.
I swear once upon a time it worked. All right. Well, the joy of doing it live, right? Well, let's see if my other plan works then, because I was going to do hatch patterns as well. So with hatch patterns, the same thing. You get a handful of ones in here. If I go to manage. Oh, same thing. It's not letting me grab AutoCAD stuff anymore. When did that happen? Oh, I was looking for a set. So new CR set. Import, there it is. Import AutoCAD patterns. This is driving me nuts. There it is.
Did you find it?
Only on the hatch pattern. So now I have all of my hatch patterns here. Yeah. It did.
Yeah, it won't let me import the LIN files. My
mouse is going crazy. So we'll go back to the line type thing. But here, since I created that MCR hatch pattern set, I then imported the acad.pat file, again, in that same location that I showed you in AutoCAD. Now I have all those hatch patterns right here, and they are named the same as they are in AutoCAD. So if I wanted to find something with this bacon door, is that the right architectural term? The bacon door. Or this hatch pattern here, or that hatch pattern there, or my earth down here, I have that. Right. It's earth, right? Yep, right there.
Maybe it was just hatch patterns.
Mm. Oh no, man.
Let me do a quick Google while you do this.
Yeah. Bacon door with a large and small Dorito. Perfect. I should have tested this. My bad, everybody. I'm fairly confident that once upon a time you could bring in the line file. So anyway, we'll keep going. We did get the hatch patterns, so I can fake things through making. I love that. Um, did make our hatch patterns. We made them match AutoCAD. We can do what we want there. So speaking of faking CAD, one of the things that we talked about last week or the week before was filling out your tool chest with symbols, right? And we can have those same blocks as we've used in AutoCAD here inside of Revu as well. So if I had a collection of blocks, I'm gonna place all my blocks here in AutoCAD. Now, there is a new AI block function that's inside of AutoCAD 2025, but we're saving that for another day. That will help you with some of that. But if I had all my blocks and I placed them and printed it to scale to a PDF, when I come over here to Revu, I can then grab my symbols by doing a snapshot, right? So we're taking our bacon door or our macon door now, and we're going to go ahead and snapshot this, and you can snap to it. But I'm just going to, obviously, this is not going to be a perfect bacon door. And now when I place it, you can put another bacon door right here.
And we can talk about drawbacks. What are the drawbacks to snapshots compared to a custom tool set?
What are the drawbacks, Michael? You set it up so perfectly.
So I believe, if I remember correctly, can they be created as accounts? Let's check that first. So if you go to recent tools, drag it up to my tools, can you create a snapshot into account after it's been made? So you can't create it as a sequence, you can create it as account. Okay. So what are some of the other things? Let's see. Change colors. Yes, I know you can do that. I've done that before. What are some of the other drawbacks?
You can change colors on a snapshot, but you can't change colors on a count.
Yeah, after it's been created as a count. But if I were to create the markups as metadata, in terms of having a grouped markups, we could still change colors before it's a count. You can make it into a sequence. But that's the reason why you couldn't make that into sequence, because there's no numbered figure markup to transmit the data to. So I'm assuming, scale. Let's check scale. That's the last one. So I believe you can scale snapshots. I'll just confirm it so you don't have to go through and create one. So I'll just do one real quick, because I have scaled tool sets already. So let me drag this down.
You want to share your screen?
Oh yeah, I could do it. So I'm just going to drag this one down, Control V. I guess it didn't snapshot. So with that, to a scaled tool set that I already have here. And then we'll set scale here. And then we'll change the scale somewhere else.
Watching you on my other screen, it looks all weird.
So it doesn't, they're not scaling. So that's the downside. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So wait, no, because it's not enabled. Hold on, that's my fault. So they do scale. Okay. So they do scale.
Okay, perfect.
So no downside, I guess, to doing a snapshot, because that would be a question. Like if I'm going to go through and quickly create them from, let's just say, like this sheet, right? Are they going to scale correctly? When is it easier to go through and draw, right? So typically you would trace over um, your annotations that you have for symbols, or you can go through and use the snapshot, which is quicker, right? We're talking about time, and then V, right? So is it easier to do this quicker versus going through and using a line, right? And then an S, and it's not the right font, but that's just because we used some weird font when I was in
Right.
industry. You could do this and then group these. Oops, go outside the selection there, and it didn't select the text. So from here now you can group these together, and that would be your symbol, right? And then you can change
Hmm.
colors if you wanted to. But that's no downside. Let's see, paint format. You can still paint format, change colors. So I guess there is no real downside unless anyone else maybe knows if there is to using the snapshot versus going through manually and creating them.
So Isaac said snapshot won't be vectored until you flatten, and snap points would be on the edge of the snapshot. So in an AutoCAD block, you have different insertion points that you can create. With a snapshot, you're kind of limited to the outside, which does make things a little tricky. Then Alex added, you lose the editability. You can't make a pretty 48-inch door from a 32-inch door. Whereas if you created a hatch rectangle, it would look better. I agree with that. You can't, I mean, you can stretch it. There are using the grips or the control points, um, but you can't make it look perfectly. It doesn't have
Yeah.
that dynamic or parametric capability that a CAD would have, obviously. Now, could you make them all in AutoCAD and do the PDF trick? Absolutely, but you can't easily adjust things. So again, it's not the right tool for the job. I wanted to highlight that and mention that several times. It's not the right tool for the job, but if it's the only tool you have, you can make it work, right?
Y-
There will be some issues.
And I will say, just so everyone's aware, you can go through and draw just so people know kind of what the difference is between a review place line, and I guess it's better in this set versus something in AutoCAD or Revit. You can see the ends just so you're aware. Like you won't probably notice them from a perspective if I change this down, right? If I'm looking out, it's going to look like it's part of the document, right? Now let me make this the right color. But just so if you wanted to go and visually see what was created where, because let's say Jason decided to quickly get something out the door and not update the design set and came in here to AutoCAD, which he never would do because he's totally against using Review as if it's a design
Hmm.
tool. But if he did and then he flattened it, right, and he did it without markup recovery and he sent it to me and he's like, plot a new set, and I plot a new set and the things that were there aren't there, right? It's not that somebody deleted it. You can tell the difference for you internally, just so you're hyper aware, the difference between something that was created in AutoCAD or Revit versus Review. And that's just by the ends of the lines, which I think is great that they didn't copy it to the extent of rounding the ends versus square, because you can tell the difference. But what's your
Yep.
opinion on that?
No, you're absolutely right. It is a way to tell the difference. And I think for most of us who would be on the CAD side would note that and probably freak out a little bit about that because, hey, why does this look so much different? Um, so yeah, Isaac's saying that they use Bluebeam to draw as founds instead of as built as founds. You can reroute things, you can do things in the PDF. It works pretty good for that, right? But it's not ever going to go back into CAD. There isn't an easy way from Revu to do that. Now, I will say that AutoCAD's PDF conversion is getting a lot better.
Mm.
Where you can bring a PDF into AutoCAD and turn it into line work. It's working pretty good, but maybe one of these days we will test it and see if we can get the AutoCAD line work or the Bluebeam line work and symbols back into AutoCAD. Right.
Yeah, and you can go through and do things like, let's figure out this break room here, right? We can go and bring this over here, place an arrow to where this should be. And then the one thing though I don't like is that this is your only arrow options, right? So not a lot of additional ones. Oh, I guess I'll keep it as a line. I guess the end is that way. So not much change in terms of the shape of the arrowhead. I know some folks like different types from design documents. But at least you can come through and do something like this, right? Like break room, and then you can start doing another great one is space planning that I like to show. So if I wanted to go through into here and in my area of my break room space plan for this area and not have to go into AutoCAD to do it, you can, right? And these folks in this office are going to have, where is my, there it is, piano. You can go through and place the piano in here and see if their break room is going to be able to fit a piano, right? We can go through and then say, okay, they're going to have a 5-seating table here. You know what? They're also going to go through and have a sink in this corner here. So we can go through and start to space plan for this area and make it actually look as if we're planning. And this would be, not, and to pick on Doug's vein, right? We could go through and say, hey, let's go through and see how our casework fits in here too, right? So creating that casework layout, if we wanted to, we could go through hypothetically and space plan this out for that.
Exactly. And that's a pretty handy trick.
Yeah. And that's all natively here in Revu. And these are tool sets that I didn't even create. You can go through and download any of these from their website, Bluebeam's website. And also, Chapter 2 has some good ones that were on their website as well, that are recustomized to workflows. So a lot of versatility within here.
I will put those in the chat for those who haven't seen them before. Chapter 2. I haven't downloaded these, but he's got it.
Yeah, I mean, he went and reworked them to be more, I don't know what the terminology would be because I don't know how he reworked them, but he made them more appropriate, I guess, for metadata and things of that nature. I don't know if he added layers or not to them, but
he put a ton of time in there.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
So again, being aware that you can go through and add things into here, and again, line work too, right? If we wanted to go through, the only issue is that because a lot of folks ask this, you can't select the vector data, and move the information that's part of it. So I can't select this line and move the data part of the PDF that's already existing, but you can go through and I don't have to go and recreate my line here that I created earlier because I already have it here created, and now I can go through and start snapping the content and creating this line work to say maybe there's a partition wall that's coming out here as well, right? We can go through and do that. So you have that modulability to go through and replicate existing conditions within here as well if you wanted to. Probably should have used the same one. And I don't have my snap to markups on. But being aware that we have that option if need be. And same thing like Jason was saying, you can go through and use snapshots to grab content that's already existing if you wanted to. We talked about the downside a little bit earlier versus tracing over in terms of being able to modify it if you needed to, because you can go through and just trace this, create a tool set, right? This was plotted at a 16th of an inch. You can create your scalable tool set to a 16th of an inch, knowing that that's what this is going to be drawn at scale. and you can go through and just start tracing what you need to specifically for this creation, right? So that's typically how you go through, and I guess we could go through and just show that real quick. This is some type of curtain wall here, so you can go through and just create a line, and we'll bring this down to maybe 50 to see if this works first. And you can go through and create these and then group them together so you can reuse them. And you're just going to say that tool set is at a 16th of a scale. I guess this one needs to go down too, because that's what it was created at, right? So as you go through and create these, you're just going to group them together. And then once you've grouped them together, you're going to create a tool set that has that set scale of a 16th of an inch, because that's what it was originally drawn at. And same thing if you're printing or plotting from AutoCAD, your blocks or whatever they are, whatever scale they were drawn at is what you're setting the scale of that tool set to, so that it scales up and down to whatever the PDF is set to.
It's like magic.
Yes. What else
Now,
were we going to add into that?
On that grouping topic, so let's keep bouncing around. I know we've covered it before, but it's been a while. When you're creating groups of objects, so maybe we need to create something else, there is a specific order that you should do that with. And that was for text when we're doing counts and sequences, right?
Yeah, so the text is formatted for information with comments. So typically I show that when we're doing some type of punch list. So we'll just do MCR, right? That's the abbreviation. If I go through and place or create this punch list item, we'll bring this down to, no, not up, down. If I wanted to go through and create some type of symbol for this, we need to make sure, people are going to say, why didn't you just use the box? This is an example, okay?
Mhm.
That's obscure from box and circles that you can automatically do. Yes, so you can select this and you can do a shape, but I'm showing the example of going through and creating a shape that's not typical from the out of the box items. And if you wanted to go through and group them, basically you just need to be aware of the pick order. The pick order reason being is that if you associate a comment to a text, the text is the comment. Does that make sense? So if I go through and let me move this out of the way. This comment under properties is MCR. So if I were to make a comment saying morning coffee review completely typed out, it would type it out here. So when you're grouping them, the order is important, because if I assigned a comment to this saying morning coffee review, it's going to show the data. I need to assign the comment to the line work, because the line work isn't going to associate that information visually. So when I'm going through and doing that, we'll go through and just Control Z. But if this wasn't centered for you all folks that maybe have a little bit of OCD around that, you can always go through and use alignment, and you can select both of these from here, and you can do the alignment tool, and you can say align middle. Well, you would actually align center, because what you have for the document, we don't want to align to the overall document. But being aware of that. So the first one that you select is going to be when you're multi-selecting different commands or shapes within Revu, you're going to get color association to your outline. So you can see that this is yellow, right? I hate that it shrinks. This is yellow. And then when I go through and select my next one, so I'm holding down Shift to multi-select items within Revu, it's going to be selecting the shape. And you can see the last selection. So if I had two other ones, you'll have yellow, yellow, yellow. Your last selection will be green. So that is my last selection, and that's what I want to associate things to. So I'm going to right click from here and group them together. Now, your quick red flag or green flag is green flag, there's no comment. Red flag, there is a comment, and it would have said MCR, right? So from here, now I can go through and say morning coffee review is the new associated comment to this specific one. So now when it's placed, it will always say morning coffee review in the comment.
That makes
You
sense. So now when it's in your tool chest or your markups list is where you're going to see that.
Yeah. And the other beneficial part of this, I mean, you could do this with like design symbols, right? As you have a leader here, you can come in here and just double click. So I now can come in here at any point in time. If you didn't want to make a generic comment for this morning coffee review, you can always come in and double click, right? And change that number if you wanted to. And you don't want to do what I did, which is not formulate the text. You probably should have done with the text itself center alignment so that when people modify it, it's always in the center of that text information. So you're not worried about people adding in a different text and it not working in terms of alignment to what you're going through, right? So if I go through back here and change this, regroup it, you're going to have to regroup the comment association to it. And I just quick wide select with it with this tool down here called select. And thankfully, it auto defaulted my selection to what I wanted it to do. Sometimes it works great, sometimes it doesn't. Just be aware of the color association to what was last selected. And what was last selected is my shape, right? So you can see the green from here versus my text. Nope, and it actually didn't.
So Isaac has a good question. Can you show what happens to a tool when the sequence goes outside of the bounds of the text box? So instead of 111, do like
Yeah,
100,000, something like that.
but I probably would have made it over. Yeah, so we'll just group this together and create it into a sequence. So in order to make something into a sequence, you can just drag it up into My Tools or whatever other custom tool set you have. You can right click sequence value, define this one. You can say what it's going to be, numerical or alphabetical, prefix, suffix. You have reset sequence per document. This is hyper important, or per page. So if I'm going to the next page and I want to keep that incremental sequence value, then you're going to say document. If you're not going to, then it's going to be page. Okay. I don't like sequences, but some people do because markups list is there for a reason. So you might as well have a count so it groups things together. The reason in my complaint with sequences is that it's itemizing every single instance place. And maybe some folks need that for the specific markup. So we'll go through and click this. I don't think I'm going to get to that many, but okay, so we'll change that.
It's going to take lots of clicking.
So let me go through and place this one, ungroup it, and we'll grab the shape and move it to like that. And this to we'll just do one to start. And we'll bring this over to like that. Okay. So now we'll go through and group these together. Drag it up, right click sequence, define. And now I'll go through and hit it. And you can see what's a sequence and what's not a sequence by the play button. So there we are. So as you start getting higher into the numbers, you're having an issue.
Looking pretty sloppy. So yeah, by the time you get to 3 digits, it's going to go outside of the box.
And I already have anxiety about clicking this markups list, but yeah, like
crazy.
That's the reason why I prefer not to use sequence, but that's completely up to you.
So Isaac is saying specifically, if you don't make the actual text box large enough, it will break the tool and no way to fix it except for remaking the tool completely.
Oh, he's saying the text size. Yeah, I guess you would have to get to a pretty high number for it not to work.
Doesn't wrap as a minimum.
Yeah.
If that box went to 10, it would break. Okay, we might have to test this. like that. You
Yeah,
can't fix
you
the
can't
tool now.
fix it.
Yeah, that looks like garbage.
I thought you meant originally like the box. You're not outside of it. But yeah,
What
you
if
just
you
have to
hold
make you
Alt?
extend it. What?
Alex is asking, what happens if you hold Alt? Can't hold Alt in the tool chest, is what Isaac is saying. Okay.
Yeah, you would have to
So,
fix it after every time placement.
yeah, which would get old pretty quick. But on that note, if you haven't played with Alt and Command before, or Control, sorry, Command and Alt, sometimes they have some pretty little handy functions when you're editing inside of Review. One of these days we'll have to go through all those differences again, when to use what.
But sequence is that visual incrementation within Review in terms of like measuring or quantifying something, and you visually see it versus a count, which you have those two differences. You have the play button or the measurement button for count versus sequence. That gives you those values as well. Going back into the AutoCAD vein, though, typically you also probably, if you're going to go through that same vein of designing sets, you can create things into layers. So there is layer association within Review as well. And typically to go through and do that, you would probably want to right click on the tool set and create the layer that they're in. And you just copy paste that layer. Or anything that's been placed, you can also add to a layer if you wanted to existing as well. That's always an option too. So you can go through and say, hey, this is going to be on a layer. If there was already an existing one, you can create new. But there's, to be more efficient, I guess, if it's going to be a typical layer, add it to the tool set already. So you're going to add it to each markup in your tool set by via copy paste, or you can go through and add them after the fact if you wanted to as well. Just to kind of hold that mentality of layer association to it. Like this one would probably be furniture or space planning because you want to be able to turn those on and off.
Right, so you could have like alternate 1 or alternate 2 and
Yep.
do that. Would be pretty handy too. That piano's going to need a bench though.
It is. It's going to need a chair. I don't think they have a single chair. Well, I guess this one. I don't know how you're going to get into it. There you go.
But that would be a thing where you could have that on a separate layer as well and have alternate 2,
Mm-hmm.
grand piano versus upright piano versus baby grand, can have different alternates. So if you were showing a client or you were, just trying to figure it out in your head, you wouldn't have to delete or do copies. You could just have it on a separate layer accordingly. Yeah.
So options.
Mm-hmm.
What
Looks
else? What
pretty
else would we
good.
go through and do? You said hatch patterns. That's great. You can go through and create your custom line styles, but you can't import line styles from AutoCAD, so you'd have to manually create them. But you can import your hatch patterns, so that's a added bonus. You can always go through and customize your own if you wanted to as well. There are shapes that you can go through and create. The other additional item is probably the arc, because arc is definitely a differentiator between some other solutions, and there's different ways to place the arc. So you can just left click and select the arc to go through and place it, or you also have the option to select it by holding Alt, or is it Control? It's Control select. No.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have to hold Control? Maybe it's Alt. Yeah, so it's Alt. Alt is for the 3 points. So holding Alt, selecting the command, you can do whatever points you want to create your new placement of that as well. So that's one option. I think there's one more. Is there Shift? No, that's for circle. So that's from top left with Shift, but is it always top left? bottom right for with not pressing shift.
Mhm.
What's control? Control is nothing. Oh, maybe control selecting. Nope. I think it's alt as well for this one. Yeah. So
Yep,
alt, holding alt for your placement goes from radius, right?
the center of the circle. Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, there are some CAD-like functions that do get altered, no pun intended, by using the Alt key or Shift or Control. One thing I did want to mention, we got a few minutes left, is the ability to create title blocks and have those templates. So if you were truly faking CAD, and let's say you're doing shop drawings or you're doing something, you can have that title block already in Review and save it as a template. So when you go to File New from Template, boom, your title block's already in there, right? So that's a neat little trick. All your stuff is in there. Um, that would work for faking CAD for sure.
So would you say, hold on, I guess I deleted too much. So would you say, let me go from here. You would go through and just save this as a template here. So
Yeah, I mean, I would clear out the text boxes for like the sheet page, the sheet name and date and stuff like that. But because you're going to add that later, right? Or you're going to put X's in there as a placeholder, and there you go, save it as a template.
um,
Yeah, company title block, full size, whatever.
I guess, yeah, you're right. I probably should have done that. So then I can come into here and say new template, and now I have this one, and there we are.
Yep. So now you can start populating it with your blocks. You can still put a grid on here like you can in CAD. If you want to snap to a grid, if you're doing that, you
What's a
can
grid
draw
hotkey?
isometrically.
Uh,
Uh,
Shift 9.
Shift F9, yeah. Because in AutoCAD, F9 is the grid too, isn't it? It's been a long time since I remember that. Yeah, it
I was
is.
surprised you had
F9.
2025 installed.
Well, with this AI stuff, I had to ask, or I had to see it myself, right? Because every Bluebeam, Autodesk, everybody's raving about AI, and with the new AI functions in AutoCAD, I had to see it for myself. So I did get a little download happy. There is something else that again, we've done it before. We're going to do it again. I'm going to wait for Review to get all of its AI updates, and then we're going to do another head-to-head versus Autodesk Construction Cloud, because there's a new function in Autodesk Construction Cloud, especially when it comes to PDF markups, that is pretty darn cool. So essentially, it's going to be geolocated. So when you pull back in AutoCAD, you can have your comments from Autodesk Construction Cloud show up in AutoCAD and know where to make those comments. So pretty darn tricky.
So
Okay.
only AutoCAD?
Well, I'm guessing AutoCAD and Civil 3D. I don't know if it's going to work for Revit or
Revit?
anything else.
Yeah. Because the issue right now with ACC markups is that they're raster
Mhm.
based. So if I were to open a PDF and they don't follow the ISO standard for coding those markups, right?
Mhm.
So if I were to open a PDF from there, I'm not going to see the markups from like the desktop connector because they're raster based.
Yep.
So
So
I'm wondering if they're going to change that.
hopefully, um, going back to the chat, there's a good question here from Steven. Speaking of hatch patterns, he downloaded an architectural finish plan that had AutoCAD hatches in it, and the file was massive. Tried using Bluebeam reduce file size tool, but it would only reduce it by 1%. Um, what do you do? AutoCAD hatches have been known to add bloated file size for years. Um, and there's really not a whole lot you can do with it, especially if you're receiving a file that's already been printed to PDF, right? Usually what we tell folks, and we've seen with some success, is just using a different driver in AutoCAD to print it, right? So instead of using the Bluebeam PDF driver, use DWG to PDF or use a different one, and you can see that. Now, what Mike was showing here, I'll just let you talk through where you're going with this.
Yeah, so sometimes you can go through, Stephen, and just check where your whatever PDF you received was created from and rewrite it. So at any point within review, you can do file, you can do a create from file, and you can replot it with a different writer, essentially, is what you're doing. So it's recreating the print driver for it and coding it. So it may help that file
Mhm.
size when you're recreating it as from a different driver, print driver, than what it was originally created at. And the document properties, you can see what PDF producer created that original document.
Yep, and this is something that comes up on support quite a lot, right? I got this file in Bluebeam, it's taking forever, it's not working right. Well, where did that PDF come from? You know, you can make a PDF out of so many different pieces of software. It doesn't mean it's going to be perfect. So what Michael showed by checking out the document properties, reprinting if you can, sometimes that will affect the file size or the file performance.
Exactly. Cool.
Cool.
What else?
So yeah, check it out and report back. I'm curious to see how that goes. Yes, Caitlin, the geolocated markups was in Autodesk Construction Cloud, not Review Cloud for
Yeah.
now. I haven't seen things, but I mean,
I
gonna
mean,
have
you
to
could
happen eventually.
geolocate with your project
Hmm.
within it currently, but that's like for your punch lists.
Right.
And that is going to the map view. Sorry, had to
Hmm.
think. And I'm not going to hit my location because you're going to see where I live. But from here, right, you have that option to place a punch via your location.
Hmm. But they want to see where you live. The Autodesk Construction Cloud one, you know, when you bring in those markups, it's actually going to show that markup where it lives inside the DWG file. Um, so it's pretty slick that way. Um, but we still have some more testing to do, and I want to wait for Bluebeam Cloud to reach its final form, allegedly. Not even final form, but get its updates here in the next sometime this month,
Yep.
and then
Yeah.
we'll do another proper challenge.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be fun to do a showdown because those two, not, I mean, holistically looking at Review Cloud isn't directly um, toe to toe, right? Because
Mhm.
Construction Cloud is more meant from a full design side. This tool, though, will be great to compare and contrast about some of their tools for field use, right? That's the interesting fact for sure.
Yep. Yeah, they are different tools for different jobs. I'm sort of on
Hmm.
the theme of today, different tools for different jobs, but these are tools that more and more people have access to both at this point, or you're gonna have it because firms are getting forced into Review 21, which comes with Review Cloud. I say forced, and then same thing with Autodesk Construction Cloud. More and more firms are going that route, so it's becoming more commonplace. So let's make the best of what we have and do what we can. So we will continue more on this journey in the coming weeks for sure. As always, if there's other topics that you want us to cover, or if you want us to spend more time in Autodesk software or Esri software or something else to do more PDF Bluebeam workflows, let us know. Otherwise, we'll see you next Tuesday with
Yeah,
whatever topic we've got lined up. I forget.
I forget too. But thank you all for joining. Again, at any point, feel free to always interrupt us. Any questions you have will get answered. If we don't know them, we'll figure it out together. And then also, if you have something else you'd like to see, right? Maybe we'll bring Construction Kyle back on when some of those updates come too, as well, to go through and show us. But till then, thank you all, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
Yep. Take care, everybody.
Hey there, thanks for tuning in. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe and check out some of the other content on our channel.